Hi, I'm Julia Moore from the Center for Implementation, and I brought along my colleague, Sylvia, because we've been spending a lot of time talking about these topics together.
Hi, I'm Sylvia. I'm a consultant with the Center for Implementation. And Julia's right. We've been thinking about theories, models, frameworks, and approaches for many, many years. And we're here to describe what these are and how they can help you in implementation.
So we really see these as the way we can get implementation science to be used in practice. In fact, we really need these four different things that we can draw from implementation science. Process models outline the steps or stages along the implementation pathway. Theories help us think about the underlying mechanism of change. Frameworks help us categorize or group different factors that affect things. And approaches is a catch-all term to think about implementation strategies and different tools or resources that we might use.
So, how do we actually use these in practice? Well, there are three key steps that help us use theories, models, frameworks, and approaches in implementation practice. We first select a process model, which helps us guide our steps and stages through implementation and understand what it is that we need to do in order to be able to design for implementation or implement, spread, and scale. The second thing that we need to do is identify a theory of change, which really describes how we expect change to happen. What are those mechanisms and levers for change? And finally, we select frameworks or approaches that help describe factors or considerations that we might have when we're implementing at each stage of that process model.
Now let's think about an example. Imagine that we picked getting to outcomes as our overarching process model.
Well, the first step of getting to outcomes is doing a needs and resources assessment. So you're going to have to use approaches for a needs assessment.
Then, as you select your best practices, you'll need to make sure that you have an explicit theory of change.
The next steps deal with understanding fit and capacities. So you have to understand the context of where you're implementing. So you can use something like the consolidated framework for implementation research in order to understand fit and capacities.
As you get into thinking about monitoring and evaluating outcomes, you might need an evaluation framework and maybe a framework to help you think about implementation quality or fidelity.
The final step is sustainability, and there are sustainability models like the dynamic sustainability model that exist, as well as tools like the long-term success planning tool.
We know that it takes a lot more than just one theory, model, or framework to guide implementation. So we hope that this was helpful in getting you to think about how you can combine different theories, models, frameworks, and approaches to guide your implementation efforts.